I don't think I got us off that time. So let's look at a LIFO reserve. So basically, companies using LIFO are required to report the difference between inventory reported using LIFO and inventory using FIFO. The difference is called the LIFO reserve because remember, if we're using LIFO to cost products, our LIFO ending inventory on our books is going to show less than FIFO. So that difference is called a reserve.
So they have to do both of them?
They can just do LIFO, but they have to report on their disclosures, the financial statements, what the reserve is. So as you see here, it can affect your ratios. If we're doing LIFO, the current ratio is going to be, remember, current ratio takes into account current assets, divides it by current liabilities. Our current assets are going to be less in LIFO than FIFO because the balance of our inventory is going to show at a smaller number. Okay? Bigger numbers for cost of goods sold, smaller numbers for ending inventory. So if you see the current ratio under LIFO, 1.33. If you see it under FIFO, 1.42. So using the LIFO method helps your bottom dollar as far as you pay less in income taxes, lower net income. But on the other hand, it can hurt your balance sheet because you're not showing the assets that other companies who are using FIFO may show. So as you look at this, we're going to now talk about a perpetual, I'm not going to even work with perpetual inventory system, don't worry about that. We're going to just stay on the periodic and do what we're using. So what I want to do...
Did you want to reverse that comment? Because I understood you, the perpetual one we're going to use, right? The periodic one we're not.
Correct, but for purposes of what we're doing just in this chapter, I'm not going to get into that.
Okay.
It's a little more complicated, and I just don't want to mess with it. So let's go back to some problems. What did you guys have for homework this year?
This year?
This,
We just turned in chapter 5 homework.
for chapter 6, we'll go through what homework you have. Let's look at BE 69. Let's talk about our little RVs here.
Winnebago.
Winnebago is a leading manufacturer of motorhomes. Suppose Winnebago reported ending inventory at August 29th of $46,850,000 under the LIFO inventory method. In the notes to its financial statements, assume Winnebago reported a LIFO reserve of $30,346,000 at August 29th. What would Winnebago's industry ending inventory have been if it had used FIFO? Should be the combination of the two. Because the reserve shows how much is, the LIFO reserve shows what the difference would be between the LIFO and the FIFO. Okay? Now let's go to our homework. I will look and see what we had.
Exercises 1, 4, 6, 8, and problem created
Thank you. So 1, 4, 6, 8. Now we did 1. Do we want to do 4?
Yes.
So let's look at 4 and compute the ending inventory and cost of goods sold using FIFO, LIFO, and average. Delmont sells a snowboard expert that is popular with snowboard enthusiasts. Below is information relating to Delmont's purchases of expert snowboards during September. During the same month, 102 expert snowboards were sold. Delmont uses a periodic inventory system. So we need to look at the various purchases. We started inventory with 12 units at $100. We made 3 purchases on September 12th, 19th, and 26th at various prices. And in total, we have 127 units at a cost of $13,135. Okay? So we're going to compute the ending inventory at September 30th and the cost of goods sold using FIFO, LIFO, and average. So it shows us 102 snowboards were sold. What does that mean we have left in ending inventory?
25.
25. So let's go to our little chart here.
You almost would have had, oh yeah, I was gonna say you had that first one, they were similar. But,
Yeah, I know. Okay, so in this chart, we've got September 1st, 12, September 12th, 45, the 19th, 50, and the 26th, 20. So we have 127 units, inventory on hand, 127 units. And the total of that inventory is $13,135. Okay? So what makes up that 127 units? 12, 45, 50, and 20. If we show on hand at the end of the year 25 snowboards, and if we're using the FIFO method, which means first in is the first out, if we have on hand under FIFO ending inventory of 25 units, what are we going to do to calculate our ending inventory?
We use all of September 1st, all of September 12th units, all the September 19th units, or I'm sorry, 45 of the September 19th.
To show our cost of goods sold. Perfect. FIFO, the first ones in are the first ones we sell. So we would basically show the 1,200, the 4635, and then we would show 45 of these units on September 19th. So 12 at 100, 45 at 103. So we would show cost of goods sold. We would show 12 at 100, no, 12 units. 12 units at 100, 45 units at 103. And we would show 45 of these units at 104. So we would show $45 of these units at 104. Excuse me, that was 103. Am I screwing up? Let me just. So 12 units at 100, and then we've got 45 units at 103 and 45 units at 104. So our cost of goods sold should be $10,505.
515.
$10,515. Our ending inventory, we know, is 25 units. That's going to be 20 of those units here at 105. right? 20 of the units at 105, which is $2,100. And 5 of the units, 5 units at
104.
104, which should be 520. So that should be 2620. So if we calculate the cost of goods and the ending inventory, 13,135, we've accounted for all of our costs there. Make sense? Now let's do it under LIFO. Under LIFO, we sold 102 units. We're going to take the 20 under the September 26th purchase, the 50 under the September 19th purchase, 70, and
23.
32, right?
32.
32 of the September 12th purchase, okay? So we've got under LIFO, this is FIFO here. That's all FIFO. Now if we do LIFO, and this is going to be LIFO, we've got we'll start, we're selling 102 units. So we need to first start with 20 units at 105. Are you guys tracking me? 20 units at 105. Then we've got 50 units at 104. Then we have 32 units at 103. Because again, we're taking the last in is the first out we're selling. How many of you guys are following me? Is it making sense?
Yeah.
Then the ending inventory of 25 units is going to be the 13 units here at 103 and the 12 units at 100. So 13 units at 103 and then 12 units at 100. Does that make sense? So again, do we total here? I-15 and I-10 equal our 13,135. So we're still picking everything up. We're just allocating them to the cost of goods sold differently than we are the ending inventory. Make sense? Now it asks us about average cost, weighted average cost. So what we're going to do here is we've got to come up with a weighted average cost. We have under this method under the weighted average cost, we've got